All right, now, I didn't do this, all right? You know it, I know it, but the only way that jury's gonna know it, Dick, is if they hear it straight from me.
All this jury has heard this whole trial is how much you have lied to everybody about everything. To your clients, law enforcement, to your friends and family. Your credibility is in the goddamn septic tank at this point.
Then I own the lies. Yeah, I don't run from them, Dick, I run straight to them.
I strongly advise you against doing this.
You know who the I am, Bo? No, do you know who my fucking family is? Then you got some idea how much time I spent in this courtroom as a kid. Upstairs at the state's table while my daddy and my granddaddy put away murderers, rapists, and ne'er-do-wells aplenty. Now you got your crime scene expert, you got your weapons expert, you're fine. You have the at it. But if they want to try me for something this god-awful of my family's turf, no, Bo. Okay, not without going through me first. Now you put me on that fucking stand.
The defendant, Richard Alexander Murdaugh, wishes to take the stand.
Welcome back to the Murdaugh Death in the Family official podcast. Today, I'm talking with actor Jason Clarke, whose portrayal of Alex Murdaugh was so convincing and authentic that when the trailer for the series dropped in September, former friends and colleagues of Alex would text me awestruck at the similarities. When we first started the Murdaugh Murders podcast in June of 2021, our first episode title was South Carolina's Chappaquiddick, a reference to the 2017 feature film in which Jason Clarke portrays Ted Kennedy. When I first heard that Jason had agreed to play Alex Murdaugh, it felt like one of those full circle meant-to-be moments. Jason's impeccably studied transformation into Alex Murdaugh's character is nothing short of mesmerizing. He is blustery, nuanced, charming, and terrifying, just like the real Alex Murdaugh, according to my sources. And now, here is my conversation with the Jason Clarke. Jason Clarke. This is so amazing, and I have to start by telling you that I saw you so many times on set, and I was terrified to speak with, because you embodied Alex Murdaugh in a terrifying way, and that's a good thing. I've seen the real Alex Murdaugh in real life, and you were more intimidating, I think, than he was, and you were always just so much in character that I never wanted to bother you. I was like, wow, that guy is really dedicated to the role. So first of all,
we never actually met, did we?
We never met because I never approached you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, no, he is in full Alex Murdaugh mode, and who knows?
It's funny you say that. That's interesting that you say that because, he was obviously not, he was a very happy, magnanimous, upstanding, thing of the community who'd been there for a long, long time and,
Right.
and whose wife and son never saw it coming. Not that anybody see it coming.
No.
And that's the level of the betrayal.
Absolutely.
I guess, I'm sure you know better than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember seeing him for the first time in Paul Murdaugh's boat crash hearing in 2019. And he was like the life of the party in a courtroom. It was a very strange thing. Shaking hands. How you
maybe
doing,
behind the
bud?
scenes I was intimidating, but on set I tried to be the life of the party.
You were too. Yeah, but you did a really good job of transitioning between like the monster that he was and you captured the intensity. But so my first question is, obviously you transformed into Alex Murdaugh in such a visceral and thorough way, and it has had everyone in complete shock. My phone is blowing up again today with people who knew Alex Murdaugh. I live in South Carolina, so I have a lot of friends who knew him very well, and they're like, oh my God.
Oh, because they're seeing it now, aren't they?
They're seeing him for the first time.
Yeah, wow.
And so again, good job. What was it like the first time that you transformed and saw yourself in the mirror?
I mean, that's always a very important time whenever you play anybody, I mean, you kind of like, it's like for me, it's like a yacht race, when you see them crisscrossing and all that, waiting for the start, you're preparing, you're moving, you're whatever, but you're looking at to get ready to go, which is first day on set, because it's, you got to cross that line, you got to hit that line running. So it's always, you feel, I can feel myself getting around it, getting close to it. There's the hair and the makeup. Everyone's starting to, contribute their jobs, the wardrobe. They're putting on top of everything that you've done. At that point, the weight was really coming on for me. It takes a lot to destroy your metabolism, essentially, so that your body's not processing much and you're just adding and adding and adding. And so it was piling on, and my body was, I was starting to feel the effects of that.
Yeah.
And then the wig was on, was super. There was a lot of uncomfortable. It was. I'm just trying to say that, because I do remember walking in and looking. I can literally remember walking in and looking at the full length mirror and going, "Damn, this is my next 6 months."
Yeah. That's dedication.
And I take a couple of snaps and I send a couple of snaps after a couple of key people that I trust, and I just go, thoughts, can you see, anything standing out as wrong or anything that, because they don't know. I mean, a lot of people just don't know 100%, or is there anything that just looks stupid or silly here or doesn't real? Because, when we decided to go without prosthetics, it had to be, this is my Alec.
Yeah.
And there's no delaying the start. We're on. So this is it, man.
Right.
So it's got to sit. That's, and Kate and Addison, hair and makeup, would just, they had that level of, I mean, I'm a pretty pedantic lunatic when it comes to, I won't let go of something. But Kate and Addison are pretty close behind and sometimes ahead of me in terms of they won't let me leave the chair. You know what I mean? And and you build it together, and that's how it comes. And then you find yourself going, okay, well, wow, yeah, this is 6 months. Tracksuit pants and red eyebrows and probably staying at home.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't.
How's my wife going to love me?
Yeah. What was the diet like? I have to ask follow-up questions about that because I'm so interested.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like to say, like, that would be really nice to gain weight, but I'm sure it would be really, really difficult.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
It comes on late. Like you got to destroy your metabolism.
Yeah.
And so you start having to, I try to do it as healthy as I could with good foods and a lot of them, big pasta and bread and cereals and this, and then you think, oh my God, it's not coming on. No, but literally you're going, I'm eking up so slowly. So then it's just like, man, I'm going to go out and get a couple of tubs of ice cream. Literally. And then eventually my number's about 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks before, and even 2 weeks to come off before I'll see the results of that 2 weeks worth of working or fasting or eating. And then it just, once it came on, it kept coming on. And then you have, you have blood pressure issues, you have, swollen leg issue. I remember one day my wife said, look at your legs, Jason, you're retaining water. So, because the suit was, I also had the suit on to give the extras, I mean, he was heavy. He was 265. He says that in the thing,
Big man.
And then there was that last bit of like, we worked out, I want to take a stab at the prison, trial look. I really loved, it's a funny word, but this is, I'm talking from an actor's point of view. I loved that he looked stronger at the end, clearer, sharper. But actually more vulnerable too, his mind, and he wasn't the good lawyer that he was, or he thought he was. He was nervous. It was on the line, and he hadn't done it for a while, I guess. And there was, it was personal. It was him now rather than somebody else. So, but just to get to that point, so it wasn't just bigger clothes sitting on me. You could see,
everything.
The thing had come off, that he'd been through this thing, and he actually looked fitter and healthier. And even now in prison, you see him, and he looks like you see the quarterback, or you see the quarterback from back in the day. And so we picked a date because the dates were always moving and what was going on in the production. But at a certain point, I thought, it's going to take me 2 weeks. So I gave an extra week. There's a little bit of crossover. There's a one scene or two scenes where I thought, oh man, you can see it there already. But, to go, I stopped eating. So it was the
switch.
food intake in and out was like, and then I dropped about 4 or 5 kilograms.
Wow.
Which is 15 pounds, 18 pounds, I guess, for that last, pretty much the whole last episode. So the food was always an issue with me, and it put a lot of pressure on my body and my heart and stuff like that. It's not something I'd do lightly again.
Right. But I think that also added to the character and who
Of
he
course it
was
did.
so
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I know for a fact that man ate so much sugar. He would drink like strawberry milk
I know.
and chocolate milk like a
I know.
child. And
You see those scenes and I'm chowing down on it.
you're
I
always
mean,
eating.
props
and
understood
it's
that you better have it ready to go.
I love all the eating scenes. They're so
No, there was
funny.
a couple of ones with just little lies. I couldn't even eat my chicken. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I was getting up at the table and man can't even finish his chicken. You know, what's going on here?
And always a messy eater too. I liked that about like, and the Capri Suns. I know people are already really focused. Like he really had a diet of like a child, and it was also so funny. I remember listening to his jailhouse phone calls when he was in prison or in jail for a few months at this point,
Yeah.
and he was telling a family member that he exercised for the first time in like 30 years,
Was he? Yeah.
and. And he was so like, I actually feel better now. That's amazing. Exercise is amazing. And like, maybe I should have done this a long time ago. And I'm like, yeah, buddy. Like, maybe you should have tried
Hindsight again,
exercise.
isn't it?
Yeah, right. Hindsight. But that's what he did in prison. He
Yeah.
loved burpees. He did a lot of those. From the beginning, Liz Farrell and I wanted to make it clear to our listeners that Alex Murdaugh was a different kind of criminal. For more than a dozen years, he admittedly stole from clients in his law firm while clapping his victims on the back and successfully convincing them that he was on their side. I talked to Jason about what it was like for him to put himself in the mind of Alex Murdaugh, inside his version of Alex Murdaugh.
You know, your great-granddaddy Buster had a saying about the truth.
What's that?
There's what's true, what's not, and a whole bunch of in between. But the only real truth in this world is what you can get others to believe.
I don't think I can put that in my essay.
No, you can't. But I'll be damned if it hasn't served me well over the years.
That's got to be a scary place, though, to like put yourself in the mind and mannerisms of Alex Murdaugh for months, right?
I
Like,
guess so, but once again, I can say to you that's hindsight, because at the time he's just having a good time. You know
yeah,
what I
for
mean?
the most, yeah,
He's just living large on
Yeah.
other people's money.
yeah,
He's got his problems, he's got his issues, but this has been going on for years. He's
Yeah.
been taking money and backpedaling his pyramid scheme or whatever he wants to call it for a long time. It was as similar as putting on a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
That was the way the world spun. And then, he just found himself going further down, that dungeon to
Yeah.
being capable of completely different things, I think,
yeah,
There was like there's a number of things that I love, that struck me that's just like a lot of it happened in real time. Like the lie of being at the kennels. I mean, it happened right then and there in the courtroom. It was like, and you because you're working towards what he did, but like, there's a simplicity to it as well.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth.
Hey, Bubba.
That's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here.
Come here, Bubba.
Catch. Quick.
First of all, Alex Murdaugh is a ridiculous person, and he's a very interesting character.
Very interesting.
Like, you can't, Hollywood could never have made up someone so absurd. He's an absurd person.
There's a wonder. I mean, I love that absurdity. I mean, I used to
Yeah,
listen to ridiculous,
it's
absurd music
fascinating.
and dance. I mean, just to get into like,
I was
man,
gonna-
anything's going to be possible. I'm coming in here in this room and anything is possible.
I was going to ask about the dance in episode 3. I have studied a lot of Alex Murdaugh in the last almost 7 years and never thought about him dancing
No.
until I saw that and haven't seen any videos of him dancing, probably fortunately. How did you get into the groove for those dance moves and think about?
Well, it's coming. Obviously, I want to entertain my wife. No, but literally, you know what I mean? I do.
Yeah,
I
okay.
want to, the same reason he gives her the diamond bracelet because, I've done this and I've done that and I want to get back into a thing. So humor's always a great one. And he was always, the life of the party. There's a picture I remember seeing him on a boat and he's doing a shot or shotting a beer can with one of his son's, young girlfriends or friends in a bikini. You just go, this dude's, it's a very, it's a particular thing as well. As an Australian, you see it, spring break, teachers, college years, nobody wakes up feeling like they're 50-something, most old people say, I still feel like, you know what I mean? Life goes fast.
Yeah.
And this life thing went fast for this man,
Mhm.
And all of a sudden he found himself in a different place where he never thought he'd be,
Yeah.
So that picture anyway said a lot of things to me. And then, so I used to listen to, DJ Khaled. All I do is win. I mean, you know what I mean?
That's his mindset.
Some Bad Bunny, some J Balvin, and I just, because, I'm putting on this suit and this wig, which was so tight, and these lenses, and, and I just have to bust it out and get into a position where I was not going to be boring. I might be moody. I might be angry. I might be violent. I might be having sex. I might be whatever. I mean, I always, I looked at him as like a great white shark. That it's always moving. It's fascinating to watch too.
And that's why
it's dangerous.
And that's why
if it stops moving, it'll die. Because the thing we're always working towards, I know the show's working towards, but I'm working towards it. He didn't give up. He's in jail, like you said, punching out burpees.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's whatever you want to say. The dude's got the constitution of an ox.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine that, having committed, something as unimaginable and against, the human condition. It's something. It's like it's unhuman in a way to do that. So I would imagine, if you do, that's it. It's over. That was my, some of my thinking in putting it together.
Yeah. In September 2021, Alex Murdaugh called 911 to report that he had been shot by a random man. He claimed he was on the side of a highway changing a flat tire on a car that had run flat tires. Immediately, I was suspicious of the facts that he and his lawyers were presenting. To me, it was yet another sign that Alex Murdaugh, who wasn't used to anyone ever challenging his narratives, was hiding so much more beneath the surface. And the roadside shooting is another thing we haven't even talked about. That's another horrible, horrible decision.
There were some incredibly smart decisions, and it's just some insane decisions. And that's what I wanted. And I wanted to get across that insanity, that Homer Simpsonness, that, do you know what I mean? In that bed thing where it's like going over the bandage, how the bandage should look cool or whatever. How does it look okay? And I said, just put it on as it would be, because this situation is insane. So let's just, do you know what I mean? You gotta, Bo, man, I gotta get, I thought if I could get some money for you, it'd make, imagine being the man's son. It's just like, what do you, man, don't look at me, man. I don't know what's going on here, It was just, there was something absurd, which is comic as well.
It is. It has to be, because it's reflective of reality. Like, at the time, it was so absurd.
Oh, yeah. It's, once again, it's like, take out the hindsight. And it was just like the woman on the phone. What? You where?
Hampton County 911 was an emergency.
On Salkahatchee Road. I got a flat tire, and I stopped, and somebody stopped to help me. And when I turned my back, they tried to shoot me.
Oh, okay. Were you shot?
Yes.
I'm on. You listen to that 911 call. There's a litany of 911 calls you can listen to, which give a lot of the story away too. And you just go, so we can't play. We can't go, okay, the tragedy. This is just, it's Beverly Hillbillies, man. This is just, this is like Dukes of Hazzard. It's crazy shit.
The roadside shooting was the one where, from the very beginning, my sources started calling me and they were like, something's not right. Like, there's no way. And then everything started falling apart for him so quickly. Like, his car that he was driving had run flat tires. So if you have and then a lot of
it was falling apart big time at that point. I mean, he's, his body's packing it in. He's not getting it. When you go down with what he was taking, this is where you go to the drugs. It's like, he talks about it in the trial, and he sits there. I love the public humiliation, the way he just went into it. It's just like, take us through when Waters asked you, take us through, withdrawals. Then the sweat just starts running down your brow. You sweat like you're running a marathon, and then you got the digestive problems. You can't. It's like you got diarrhea, like you got food poisoning, And he's sitting there, just like the whole community's there. Oh my God. You know what I mean? I listen to that so many, and I'd sit in the makeup chair, and if I needed to have a laugh like I am now, just to warm up, I'd just put that on. I'd do, I'm going to do that. Then you you got diarrhea, like you got food poisoning. I mean, you know, and you drag it out and you start finding, and it sits inside you, and there's just there's a madness to it, and it was in the public eye.
And
And his son and his brothers and his family are all sitting there watching this man talk about his diarrhea problems.
And everybody told him not to be on that stand too. Like
Everybody
everybody
told
said
him.
that
Yeah,
was
he
a
was
bad
told.
idea. But the material that you got from that was gold.
Oh, look, you know, he was in trouble.
Yeah.
At that point, he was done.
was,
So in his way, it was like, you know what? And also, there's a couple of, he turns around and he says his apology. You know, I mean, he put himself through this, it was like some kind of bizarre game show, torture game show, where he just like, I'm going to let it all hang out. You know what I mean? And he did. You know, and he's crying and getting a tear up, and he's looking at the sister, and she's saying, you know, and then he turns around and he apologizes, and Paul's there and the thing, you know, and I mean, all of it. It was like Dr. Judy torture or something. You know, it's like this man in front of this town just letting it all hang out. And the trial's really interesting because you also understand, to get back, you know, people wanted anger or wanted the threat of the man, you know, and it's in there all the time. I mean, yeah, we have that scene with, you know, the scenes we take a stab in the jail beforehand where you're seeing me going, it's going south. What the you got, you know? Because I was always also struck by how his defense attorney kicked off that really badly, in my opinion. No, did you take this gun and did you shoot this? It's just like, whoa, back it down, dude. You've even gone 2 decibels high. It's like, what the did you just take, man? Is everyone, you know? And you go, and I guess it's because of pressure, you know, pressure not just from the audience, the public thing, but also from Alec.
Yeah,
you know, and that's where I knew this. The man's. It's in the script, and it's in the story in strange ways, in ways that don't need to be put on the head or evil staring down or I'm going to bully you, woman, and stuff like that. It's in there everywhere, and it's to his disadvantage, you know?
Yeah.
Jim kicked that off terribly.
Oh, terrible.
And then he leads into a bizarre kind of thing, you know, and he's dragging it up because it had already been kicked off fake. If another actor does that to a scene, everyone picks up the vibe, and it's gone weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's actually gone really weird.
Yeah.
If somebody forgets the lines, it's all, and that's what had happened. I likened it to, you know, and then and it took him a good 20, 30 minutes to get his footing back in there, you know? And so it's like the fake crying. He'd done himself no favors.
It was so
I mean,
bad.
he'd set himself up for something, and instead of playing it where it lands, you know, he doubled down and made it all more fake. And that's like in a bad scene, man. It's like, we can see, man, I don't believe what you're saying. You know what I mean?
It was insane.
It was insane, but it makes sense. You know what I mean? It really does. You start to connect the dots. You take out the sound, and then I would take out the visuals and listen to it all the time, but I was also take out the sound and just watch it.
Yeah.
Because there's disconnect there. And in that disconnect, you're seeing the machinations of this man that leads you to do what have some kind of what he did and where he ended up and why he's now and why it's playing out in this strange, bizarre way afterwards.
Right.
It'll tell you how he killed them.
Right.
You know, which is what we had to take a stab at.
Yeah.
It'll help you get to where we get to at the ending.
Yeah.
Because you can't just close this off as a give a TV ending to satisfy the justice has been served. Clang, you know. You know, it hasn't. You know, and he ain't bending over and admitting anything.
No.
So how do you get across that?
Yeah.
You know, and I feel for the town and the people, and that's why, you know, that once again that the Beaches being able to give across that is just like it's one of the most. It's beautiful. It's not stupid.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. It's actually extraordinary, and I truly hope that they've hung on to that.
And
you know, and it's still in them.
Yeah. And
because that's the best of humanity.
Yeah. The Satterfields as well. The
Yes.
Satterfields forgave him, and
Yeah, I love the Gloria story now.
yeah,
It was
I love
like
it too.
there were so many very, very smart things that I think the writers did and kept and earned the ability to change a few things in there to reflect certain things, but because it stayed within reality, because we never had any cheap, you know, we're just going to give you ring the satisfaction bell here for you, or make some big bold thing to give some juice to a scene that's not working.
Right. And that's what I love about it. And Michael always talks about emotional truth. And I do, like, I stand by
Emotional truth.
emotional
What do
truth.
writers know about emotional
It's not the
truth?
real truth.
I'm
It's
kidding,
the
I'm
emotional
kidding,
truth.
I'm
I'm
kidding.
sure
I'm
you've
winding
heard.
a writer up. I'm sure he's going to listen to that writer's emotional truth. God help us all.
So
No, it's true. The writing was very, very
the
good.
writing was fantastic, but you're right. Like there were things to change that I understood that
Simple things. You reflect things, though, man.
Yeah.
Like cutting from Gloria and the Satterfields sitting around the table, and then she says, I want to say a prayer for the Murdaughs and everything they're going through. Counting to me, coming. You get one of those hot stone massages, bus. You got to get some of that shit. Did that happen like that? No, but you're reflecting certain things, and then that's why I think each episode then stands above just this story itself and is saying other things. Whatever you want to see them as. Hypocrisy, use and abuse. Where. That's why it was like there's a line, when Paul's lecturing us about killing Gloria, and I had a line, it's just like, dude, well, where's your underpants, man? Because you don't know where they are, do they? Because Gloria puts them away for you all the time. So there's an element of like, it's all gone sideways here.
Right.
Right. It's all gone sideways. So don't, point fingers, they can be pointed back.
Right. And I liked what they did with the timeline.
Yeah.
And you got to, like you said, you got to see Gloria, you got to see her family and how vastly different that was from the Murdaugh's life. And that was just a brilliant thing too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we dive back into my conversation with Jason Clarke, I want to share my conversation with actor Spencer Garrett, who brilliantly portrays Jim Griffin, the other half of Alex Murdaugh's defense team. Spencer gives us a behind-the-scenes look at what it was like filming some of the most intense courtroom and holding cell scenes alongside Jason. His reflection on Jason's transformation, both chilling and deeply human, capture how powerful this series really is. Here is Spencer on what it felt like to face Jason as Alex Murdaugh inside that holding cell. Did you imagine it in film when you were listening? Or
when I heard that Jason Clarke was doing it, it was just, gosh, a light bulb. I mean, and then when I saw him, when I walked into the makeup trailer in Atlanta, and I saw my friend Jason, who I know well, with the reddish hair, and it was chilling. It was absolutely chilling. It was a version of Alec. It was a different version of Alec. There's an uncanniness to how much he looks like Alec and how different he looks from Alec, but he captures his essence, I think, so perfectly.
Big presence on set.
Big presence.
Yeah, and I was the same. The first time I saw him, like chills, just... I thought I've seen Alex Murdaugh in person many times. So
big presence. Jason has a big presence on any set that he's on, and listening to Alec and being an actor and being student of actors and student of behavior, and watching Alec on the stand, and he had that sort of soft-spoken kind of thing, the way he spoke, and it was the acting. When you look back in retrospect, was extraordinary, and Jason really, I think, kind of captured that, because when he's speaking to the jury and he's speaking to the prosecutor, to Creighton, he had everybody played. Mr. Murdaugh, on June 7th, 2021, did you take this gun, or any gun like it, and shoot your son Paul in the chest in the feed room at your property off Moselle Road?
No, I did not.
Did you take this gun, or any gun like it, and blow your son's brains out on June 7th, or any day, or any time?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you take a 300 blackout, such as this, and fire it into your wife Maggie's leg, torso, or any part of her body?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you shoot this gun into Maggie's head, causing her death?
Mr. Griffin, I didn't shoot my wife or my son anytime. Ever.
You definitely sense that the case was getting away from Dick and Jim, and it was a runaway train once they put Alec on the stand. When Alec says, "I'm going to own the lies," and really, really leans into it, then that's the ball game.
I loved that scene in the holding cell because, I mean, as the whole world was watching everything,
Yeah.
that's one thing that we didn't see, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everybody was imagining what was going on
Yeah.
behind. And I think that that's probably the most accurate. I mean, we'll never know
We'll never
unless
know.
Dick and Jim talk about it and truthfully talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that it showed too how they kind of saw that other side of Alex
Mhm.
in that moment
Mhm.
because he's freaking out.
He's freaking out, and that was a choice that Jason made along with Stephen Pyatt, the director, because there were several takes, I think, where it was a lot more measured and quieter, and Jason said, "I'm just going to take it in a different direction and just really lean into the sociopathy of this guy." And boy, and you see his eyes, and he turned into this other beast. And I think that's a great turn because it's the last couple episodes of the show in the trial. And so when you really see who this guy really is. And I think if Jason had made the choice, or if they'd chosen to stay with that kind of quieter tone, I don't think it would have been as impactful at the very end, because I think we all know where this was going, and it was a great choice that he made, and it impacted my performance. I know it impacted Jim's performance, because I think when you see him take the newspaper and kind of slap it at me, and I kind of recoil like that, that was real, because I didn't expect that. He didn't say, "Watch out, I'm going to hit you with this thing." He just hit. I was like, "Oh, okay, we're in it now."
What do you hope audiences understand about Alex Murdaugh from your performance?
That you're never going to know him.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, that's what we're good to actually take it back to Newman. That's what Newman said. Remember when he did the financial crimes, when he gave the end, he said, "I'm going to sentence you today, Alec, and I'm going to close my book. I'm retiring. This is my last day. I'm retiring. I'm paraphrasing you. I'm going to close the book on this and on you in my life." And then he tells a story when he saw him at Hilton Head 2 weeks after the murder, and it equates across that, he's known him as a person. "I've known you at Hilton Head, and I felt sorry, but I was shocked how happy and full of life you were. And I took it for generosity, and you were going to come and give us back and support the community, even though you'd gone through such loss. And I had no idea who you were. It shows me, I just had no idea of the reality of what had gone on in those 2 weeks, even, and what had gone on in the reality of the years that I've known you, and I've spent 2 years or whatever it was. I still don't know you,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to close the chapter on you. This is the end of my career." And it was just, that was it for me. That was my inside-outside moment, because it sits inside me somewhere, but it's Newman that was telling him. You know what I mean? They were not my words.
Yeah.
But it's a good summation. And I remember Noah Emmerich would walk up to me on set one time and says, "Dude, I've been watching everything you're doing. I've got no idea who you are." And I thought, boom, that's exactly what I wanted. You can't quite put a finger on him. You still can't. I think that's what makes him so interesting still to people. We're all poking around here, but there's just something. Then you tell he's down there doing burpees and things, and it's like, I guess it's not surprising, is it?
Gloria Satterfield's sister said at one of the hearings, "I don't understand you, Alex Murdaugh, and I don't want to." And
Yes.
that's,
Yes. There you go.
I always go back to that of like,
Yes.
if it's probably a good thing if you don't understand, if you
Yes.
don't get there.
Yeah,
And
sometimes you just got to close the chapter and move on,
right,
man.
and just realize
Yeah.
he is who he is, a monster.
Yep.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
Thank you.
As we wrap up this incredible journey through Murdaugh, Death in the Family, I keep coming back to what connects everyone you've heard from on the official podcast. Michael D. Fuller, Brittany Snow, Alicia Kelly, Johnny Birchtold, Kathleen Wilhoit, Erin Lee Carr and Sandy Smith, Patricia Arquette, Kat Candler and Joseph LaCourte, Spencer Garrett and Jason Clarke. Each one of them carried this story with a rare mix of truth, care, and empathy. And more of their interviews are available in the audio versions of this podcast too. What began as unthinkable tragedies in the South Carolina Lowcountry became something bigger, a reckoning with power, privilege, and the human cost of silence. Through every interview, I have been reminded that this story is not about glorifying darkness or exploiting people's pain. It is about shining a light on the people who refuse to look away, the real victims, the survivors, and truth tellers whose courage forced accountability. Watching these actors and creators bring this story to life has been both surreal and healing. Each performance gave faces to emotions that so many lived in real time. If there's one thing I hope that you take away from this series, it is that truth-telling matters. Storytelling matters. And when it's done with integrity, it can instill empathy, accountability, and maybe even drive real change to communities that desperately need it. At the end of every Cup of Justice and True Sunlight podcast episode, I tell our Luna Shark Premium members and listeners across the globe to stay pesky, because I mean it. It's not enough to just quietly disagree with wrongdoing around you. The wrongdoers are counting on that silence. I hope that my reporting and our journey to this finale episode demonstrates that you too can make a difference, even from your kitchen table. Thank you for listening, for supporting independent journalism, and for standing with us, and with every victim, in the pursuit of sunlight. Because even in the darkest stories, there is light waiting to break through. So to all who joined us on this journey, we hope that you'll stay pesky and stay in the sunlight. You can listen to my full conversation with Jason Clarke and others, plus audio from the Real Case Files and more on our extended audio episodes wherever you get your podcasts. We hope you're enjoying the original series, Murdaugh, Death in the Family. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment or 5-star rating to give our creators, cast, and crew the praise that they deserve. And don't miss Murdaugh, Death in the Family, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.